We have actual breaking news for you guys today.
Yes.
This is very exciting. The Academy Board of Governors literally just met this morning to decide Will Smith's fate. Alonso, what's going to happen with Will Smith?
So yeah, he is banned from attending the Oscars or any other Academy events for the next 10 years, which is kind of all they could do because he quit already. He very shrewdly, you can't fire me, I quit the Academy on April 1st. So this was pretty much what they had left. He can still get nominated, but he just can't show up, and he's not going to be presenting Best Actress next year, but that's where we are.
So he can't physically attend the Oscars. Like, let's say he makes a movie in the next couple of years, he gets nominated, he can't physically go. Like, what do they say? Like, Will Smith couldn't be here because he slapped Chris Rock? Like,
I'm sure they'll try to avoid it entirely. But according to the wording of the Academy statement, he cannot attend any Academy event, including the Oscars, either in person or virtually.
Interesting.
So he can't even zoom into the Oscars if he gets nominated again in the next 10 years.
Can he go to the Academy Museum on Wilshire?
I'm sure they're not saying no to anybody because they really got to sell some tickets to that joint to make it pay for itself. So I suspect they would probably, turn a blind eye on that one.
What do you think about this? Is this enough? Would anything be enough?
I mean, like, I think it'll be interesting to see if like SAG has anything to say about it, in terms of, because, he did, assault a member of the union who is performing on stage. And I think that's a precedent that bothers people in certain ways. But yeah, I think as far as the Academy is concerned, as an institution, as an organization, this is pretty much about all they had. Had he not already quit, they could have suspended him. They could have kicked him out of the organization, but he preempted that move. So this is what they got.
And they were never going to take his Oscar away from him for King Richard. Like, they let him sit in that room because they knew he was going to win.
Yeah.
Right. We got to talk about, there's a big story in the LA Times and LA Times TikTok. I hate that phrase. It's totally jargony journalism phrase, but it is a TikTok. It's like what happened minute by minute after the slap. Our good friend Glenna Whip, who is here on Oscar nomination morning, is one of the many writers who worked on this story. And basically it's just conflicting reports about, did anybody actually ask him to leave? The people at the top of the Academy supposedly asked his publicist to ask him to leave. And like, that's not going to happen.
Will Packer allegedly asked Chris Rock if he thought Will Smith should leave, and Chris Rock said no. So this is going to be hashed out at length for some time. And I don't know. I think obviously there's a lot of fatigue already about this as a story, but at the same time, it's like, it's just this weird meltdown that we all witnessed, and I don't know what to do with that.
I would like to stop thinking about it. I went for a run with a mom friend of mine this morning, and she's like, I just keep thinking about it. It keeps coming up. It's like, I mean, it's my job to talk about this kind of thing, but like, I think the average person still feels, I don't know, the reverberations of this. And, the Academy clearly wants this to be done with as fast as possible. This meeting that occurred today was supposed to be like April 18th.
Exactly. Yeah. They moved it up, especially after his resignation, to sort of like, clear the decks. But yeah, I think it's going to, if anything, it leads to larger questions about like, why did he get to stay in the room? Why did he get a standing ovation when he won? Why did nobody cut off his teary and self-aggrandizing speech? And so I think it's the incident itself is one thing, but the response to it and the seeming like, coddling or not really responding to it in the moment of it is something else. And I think for a lot of people, that's been the triggering aspect of this. Yeah, ultimately, this is just like, there's a war in Ukraine. I know that's the stupid answer. Like, that's Michael Bay's. That was his. Did you hear about this? No. During interviews for the Ambulance, somebody asked Michael Bay about it. He's like, I don't want to talk about that while there's conflict in Ukraine going. I'm like, well, we're talking about your stupid new movie, Michael Bay. So this isn't exactly any less important than, on the grand scale of things.
Yes.
But, there is a war in the Ukraine.
Yes. Tim Grierson and I have a review of Ambulance that you're definitely going to want to tune in for. We had a lot of fun. We had more fun than we should have. We'll put a link down below to this LA Times story because it's really thorough and really good. And the kicker is killer. So we'll make sure that you read that. That's down there. we have Warner Brothers. Speaking of more bad behavior, Warner Brothers and DC executives met to talk about Ezra Miller. Now, this is something that happened last week that we felt a little squishy about talking about because we don't really know everything that has happened with them. But now that there's an actual meeting, it's a tangible piece of news that we need to address. And so Ezra Miller seems to be having reportedly some meltdowns, barged into a hotel room, and also accosted some people doing karaoke in Hawaii. So
there's between that and sort of reports of some on-set behavior that some people have been finding troubling. There is conversation about how do they move forward, how does the studio move forward, and then there's been something of an online
groundswell.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. of fans of Grant Gustin, who's the TV Flash, to step into the movies in Miller's role if Miller is having life issues. So none of that, nothing's been decided. It's being discussed and it's being observed, and we'll see what happens.
Indeed, we will follow that. Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew Broderick both came down with COVID, so they had to cancel last night's performance of Plaza Suite on Broadway. Of course, Matthew Broderick, longtime associated with Neil Simon's material, and they are starring. Of course, the two of them have been together for a very long time. They both got COVID. This is what happens when your spouse or partner gets COVID.
Yeah, well, and this is an ongoing issue for Broadway. I mean, there was a big hubbub to do about it reopening and the shows coming back, but there's a lot of close proximity in these productions, and you can't wear masks while you're doing them, and you're singing and shouting, and so a lot of shows have to close for a couple of nights or have had to cancel altogether. So it's this is still a thing that's happening in the Broadway community.
Yep. We're also following what's going on with Asghar Farhadi in Iran. We mentioned a couple of weeks ago that one of his film students was accusing him of plagiarizing from her short story, which she says was the premise for his film, A Hero, his very acclaimed film, A Hero. And so now we have a verdict in that case.
Yeah, well, the verdict is that they basically found that her suit had merit, but they haven't ruled on whether or not Farhadi actually committed plagiarism or not. And then all of that is complicated, I've heard some observers discuss, by the fact that Farhadi and the Iranian government have always had a somewhat prickly relationship, that he makes films that they aren't always thrilled about. And so this might be a case of using governmental powers to try and shut him down, whether or not he's actually guilty in this particular case. So I don't know.
Yes, more complicated news, and we'll continue to follow that as well. Something simple and mindless. Bravo has canceled Shahs of Sunset. Never seen it.
Dave's a big fan. I've been
is it a good show?
No. I mean, it is one of the few reality shows that will not break the fourth wall necessarily, but acknowledge the fact that it's a show and that there's a camera crew, and that maybe some of these people who are currently on the show aren't their lifelong friends, but are people who were cast to be on it, So that aspect is interesting. And I think some of the early seasons had some cool stuff, but by the end of it, it was just like there was some really ugly behavior going on that was just like, could we just maybe stop now? So I think it's just as well they did.
That's why, because apparently one of the cast members has been accused of domestic violence. So that's why after 9 seasons, it has been canceled.
A24 has dropped the trailer for Marcel, the Shell with Shoes On.
It's pretty much common knowledge that it takes at least 20 shells to have a community. My cousin fell asleep in a pocket, and that's why I don't like the saying everything comes out of the wash.
It looks totally adorable. Jenny Slate is the voice of this sweet little shell named Marcel, and I guess it premiered at Telluride and totally charmed people.
Yeah, it got really good reviews, and A24 is releasing it, and they are not generally known for family fare, but obviously they're looking to diversify their boutique brand. So be curious to check that out.
But it looks weird like their brand.
There is that.
Innovative and visually just strange, but comparatively heartwarming.
Sure.
Compared to like Midsummer, for example.
And Marcel does have the little googly eyes glued onto him, so that connects it to Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, good. Yes. Which we're going to review again next week, because Alonso, you think we're wrong.
I have a take that is maybe not online with what you and Katie were talking about. So yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to revisit it. It opens wide today, April 8th, nationwide. So if you haven't had a chance to see it before, now you can. And yeah, come check us out on Tuesday. We'll be talking about it again.